So basically, I got 4 moves. I think it's selling a lot of people, but we talked about it before. The Yankees need to go for it all. I think they will go for it all. I think that these are not only realistic, but I think that it's what needs to happen. Yes, you're decimating the farm, but it's not destroying it. I don't know. I think it's a happy balance. I think it needs to happen. And this is more of just a framework. Obviously, the names will be different whenever you go, but this is kind of to give you an idea. So the first one I put on here, Andrew Benintendi. The more I looked into it today, the more I talked myself into it over Ian Happ, over Brian Reynolds, because I don't think he'll cost as much as those guys. And I think the Gold Glove left field, the good offense, he's a good table setter. He gets on base. He does everything right, everything that we need to balance out this lineup. I got him for Waldichuk, Pariah, and Antonio Gomez. I kind of followed the Joey Gallo framework on that one. They got 4 top 25 prospects, I think, something like that. So, this one you're getting 3. You're getting the number 5, number 10, and number 18 prospect, and you're sending them there. The Royals reportedly want 1 top prospect. This way you're getting a top 5 and then another top 10, another top 20. A younger guy with a lot of upside in Gomez, and then Pariah, I fuck that up every time, but he's our most highly touted outfielder right now, even over Florial. He's a young guy, whatever. Next one, this is kind of the big blockbuster. The Yankees get Luis Castillo, trade Peraza, Medina, Trey Sweeney, and Will Warren. That's the number 2, 6, 11, and 27 prospect. Looking back over the years, you got Greinke that took 4 people in their top 22. Verlander to the Astros took 3 top 20s. I think that's kind of gives you a little bit of a framework, but also, these are guys that they're willing to part with and that could be part of that. Will Warren, not a super high prospect, but he's still in the top 30s. Got solid upside, but not a superstar. Next one, this one may come as a shock to you guys, but Michael Fulmer. The Yankees have been rumored to him for years, especially when he was a starter. He was kind of a failed starter, had a bunch of injuries. I think he had some shoulder issues. 29 years old, won Rookie of the Year this year as a reliever only for the first time in his career. Sub-2 ERA, 32.2 innings pitched, 32 strikeouts. He's in the 94th percentile in expected ERA, 97th percentile in batting average. Everything that you want to see on Baseball Savant is red. Cool. For that, I got Andahar plus Cash and Josh Bro, so you get a good catching prospect, a top 25 guy, and you get Andahar basically for free. The Tigers have a lot of young outfielders that may need some time to marinate in the minors. This way you get a guy that's out there basically for free, like I said, who can be that stopgap until 2025. So, and then the last one, I have Joey Gallo to the Padres for Efren Contreras. So if there's anybody hear me out. I kind of followed the Luke Voigt framework for this one. If there's any diehard Padres prospect huggers and fans here, then I'm sorry if I offended you on this one. I just thought he kind of followed that framework really well. He's a high upside guy. He's 22 years old. He's kind of undersized. He's been hurt for 2 years, so nobody really knows. He had some Tommy John surgery, some other complications, but people project him as a back end rotation arm. He throws mid to high 90s. He's got really, really good command and a plus curveball. So I don't know. Those are my 4.
I like all those moves. I'll start there. I think they all make sense. I mean, these are the ones that we've been other than the last one you said. I didn't even know who that was for a second. Who was that?
Efren Contreras. He's
Efren Contreras.
he's a 20-year-old prospect for the Padres. So
okay. I mean,
I was just looking.
That is the exact framework that Gallo,
or
that Voigt was traded for. So I can see something like that happening. I just personally, I know Gallo's been bad, and I guess this is one thing that I will say. I said the first time when we were talking about trading Gallo that I don't think it makes sense to trade him just to trade him. But with that being said, if in one fell swoop you're also getting a Benintendi or getting another defender, then I'm fully behind it, because then he doesn't have a place. So if you can get he's being a free agent next year, right?
Gallo?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, this guy, you're not just throwing him away either. This is a guy that he was a highly touted guy. He just hasn't played in 2 years. He's still 22 years old.
I'm saying, like, if you do trade for a Benintendi, Gallo has no place on this team other than a pinch hitter, so then that's wasted. And if we go for Benintendi or another outfielder, maybe Ramon Liriano or something like that, I'm just throwing a name out there. That's not necessarily who I want to get. Murph might want to. But if you are getting another outfielder, it's almost going to feel as though like what it felt like with the Freddie Freeman situation, but way dumbed down, obviously. They went and got Matt Olson before Freddie Freeman was even gone. So then it's like, okay, well, Freddie Freeman's going to go. So that's how I feel about it. And if that's the case and he has no purpose other than a pinch hitter, then you need to get rid of him and at least salvage something out of him and get a prospect, which I fully am on board for that. Maybe not. And I guess that's you calling your shot on that. Anything like that is similar to what I can expect the Yankees to do out of Gallo if we do get rid of him. And I think I think the likelihood of us trading Gallo is very high if we do get an outfielder, which I
think the likelihood's high regardless. And I saw that I basically just took the teams that he's been rumored to, mainly the Padres, mainly the Rangers, and I kicked around all the different the lower level, like 20 and below, or 19. I think he's the 19th ranked prospect there, which might be a little high rankings wise. But again, you look at the peripherals, the lack of innings, he's young, all these different things. He's not a super terribly high upside guy. It makes sense. That's basically my criteria that I looked at for that Gallo trade was the teams he was rumored for an arm to stash in the minors and hope that he pans out to be a mid-back rotation arm in 5 years. And this guy fits that bill almost to a T, and especially something that the Yankees like. He throws hard, and he locates well.
Yeah. Chandler, can I ask you this?
Oi.
Sorry, so you were talking about Gallo, and obviously we need to bring in another starter. Another team that he was rumored to is maybe going back to Texas.
Yeah.
And there's also rumors of Martin Perez being available for a trade. Obviously, Gallo for Perez isn't going to happen, but do you think that there's a package we can put together that includes Gallo that can bring back Perez and in correspondence with another deal that brings an outfielder in?
Is Martin Perez that really old? Like really old?
He's
guy?
an all-star
31-year-old pitcher.
Oh, so I'm thinking of a different person then.
That wouldn't shock me totally, but I mean, I have his stats up right here. I think if the Yankees are going to dip into the starting pitching market, they're going to get a bona fide two at the most. And I don't think that Martin Perez fits that. I think that they're kind of making a lateral move with that. Yeah, you're getting rid of Gallo, you're shipping him back to Texas, fine, whatever. But you're bringing in a pitcher who's more of the same. Would he help this team? Maybe. He's having a career year. Awesome. But I'm not pushing my chips in there. And I know that Gallo isn't pushing your chips in, but it's going to take more than Gallo to get a guy like that having a career year on a bad team. So I guess I could see it, but I wouldn't bank on that. I think there's just so many more moves. And I think that getting a guy who has upside, and like I said, these are just frameworks. The guy from the Padres is probably not going to happen. That would be just fucking wild if I called some low-level 22-year-old.
Calling your shot.
Yeah, but it's the framework for it. I think that's the most realistic thing for Gallo.
But I will say this too, like you mentioned before, that if we don't get an outfielder, still trade. I don't agree with that. I think if we don't get an outfielder, there is no point.
We're getting an outfielder.
Okay, that's what but I'm saying. Let me preface it with this: is like if we do not get an outfielder, does anybody here still want to trade Gallo? Because I don't think that makes any sense at all.
Yeah,
because then we just don't like as useless as he may seem.
Bringing in an outfielder.
Yes, but if like let's say we don't get an outfielder, we aren't going to get an outfielder, and all said and done, and we traded Gallo and now do not have his replacement.
Get anything in return for him because he's proven that he cannot help this big league roster, at least on the Yankees. I'm not saying his career's over. I'm not saying his career's dead because I think he can.
Though we need a person to play the outfield. I know Hicks has been playing better baseball, but
I would rather
if somebody goes down, you don't like that.
Carpenter, you've got Florial's hitting fucking just
I'd have to disagree with that.
Now. I think Gallo's gone. There's no world that Gallo's a Yankee.
I hope that's the case. But Damon, you think that you would trade him even if we don't get an outfielder?
Yeah, I do. And I think I'd like to. I'll rephrase that a little bit. I don't know if we will, but I would like to because like Chandler said, we do have some people who can still play the outfield position besides Gallo. Like we can get rid of him right now and still field and outfield that I would be confident in.
He
going
doesn't
to the
even start
playoffs.
every night anymore.
That's true.
Yeah,
And
and
you
I
have
think that
Andahar in the wings. But I just like you have so many options. There's no reason that you don't cash in something on Gallo before he's a free agent because they're not re-signing him.
right, but I think that the last few games especially have highlighted that like obviously we've had a historic year from the pitching side of things, but we talked about it earlier in the episode. JMO has struggled the last 4 games, and really for the first time all season, I felt like we've kind of blown some late games. Again, like we lost against the Red Sox in the 10th inning, allowing 3 runs, and then we allowed 4 runs in the 7th against them. Those are both like big innings late in the game that we have not really seen happen too often this season so far. So if we were going to go out there and trade Gallo, and we didn't get another outfield replacement, I'd be totally fine with that if we just got more depth pitching wise.
I don't think what we're going to get from a Gallo trade, if it's solely Gallo, is going to be someone that makes an impact on the roster this year. So I think
probably
it's going to be
not.
something exactly what Chandler said. It's going to be a prospect, a good one hopefully, but
It's going to be an okay prospect that has decent upside, but
I don't think we're
very,
going to get
very
any,
big downside.
No MLB impact, I think, is what we're going to get for 2022. And I think that's what you just have to expect. And if anybody thinks the Joey Gallo of old that we traded for, like we lost that Gallo deal. We've officially lost the deal. We're looking to offload him for pennies on the dollar. I don't know. I just think that if we're going to get no impact, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing up people. I think, like you said, I forgot Andujar would be an option as well, but Andujar might be in a package as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that was honestly not to toot my own horn or bring attention to it, but I think that was honestly right there one of my more realistic but also under the radar moves is bringing in a guy like Michael Fulmer. The Yankees have been linked to him for years, and I think a package like that makes sense because this is his first good year in 6 years, and it's solely as a reliever. He's 29, he's injury prone, but he would bring so much value to this team in late innings. I think that Andahar Cash and a top 25 prospect, a power hitting catcher, and Josh Bro, I think that gets that deal done, and I would do that in a heartbeat. And
go back to
I think that was the best of all your deals, by the way.
Thanks, Mark.
That in. Like I was glad you said Fulmer.
Also, Josh Bro is like not like he got called up, but he got called up so that Austin Wells could get called up. Like he's not really envisioned to be like the Yankees catcher, the new franchise catcher. Like they believe in Austin Wells, and Josh Bro is just kind of like moving him up so that Austin Wells can get his chance in the next level.
No, I agree. Josh Bro and I like Josh Bro. He's a great guy. Met him. Don't laugh at me.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he's friends with Locke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Bro is he's a good player. He's a power hitting catcher, doesn't hit for a high average. He's more of the same kind of what we have. I don't know that he's Rule 5 eligible again. Don't know that he necessarily has that long-term outlook as a Yankee. So I think you trade him now, get what you can, and a rental bullpen guy that may or may not actually be a bullpen guy, I think makes too much sense. It was between that and a guy like Diego Castillo, who he has a 5 ERA, but his peripherals are good. That seems like another guy that Cashman would really, push the chips in on. Not push the chips, but relatively speaking.
A couple